Harold Hostetter, 3120 Pitcher Ridge Road. I've been here twice and it seems like I get on the agenda first both times, so I don't like this. First off, I want to start and say by saying thank you. Nothing that I've ever asked the Treasurer's Office or the Commissioner of Revenue or Public Works has not been done, okay? So you can thank who you want to for that, but I thank y'all. I tell them when I see it. But that being said, I've got some questions. I guess number one is when you look at this building from the outside, we see all the tinted windows. Where did that come from? And is there anything that we could have spent some of that money on better than tinted windows? You know, we have terrible roads, as everybody in the room, and y'all are all aware of, with terrible roads. I don't know who approved it, I don't care. But there's had to be something. I never seen it anywhere. All I seen was the windows being tinted. I don't know if we're all done yet. I haven't checked all the way around. But that's one thing I want to ask about the City Council about. The second thing is who is over zoning in the city now? I think.
I've got you up here at the wrong time.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So we need to go through the public hearing for the budget.
That's what I thought.
And
but I guess the budget part would be is the windows in that budget somewhere? Are it going to be, or was it, or
no?
Did somebody just decide to do
it? The windows were tinted with the idea of helping to reduce the amount of heat in the building from sun shining through the windows, and it's helped with the air conditioning.
How much did that cost? Can I ask that?
I don't know.
Okay. Am I at the wrong time?
I don't mean to interrupt you again.
No, that's all right. If I'm at the wrong time, I'll sit back down.
Yeah. Let's talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So then, Ms. Martin, did you want to speak to the budget?
Yes. My name is Wanda Martin and I reside at 3073 Wildwood Drive. I just have a question to ask. Could council try to reduce the tax rate on the second half of our personal property tax? My reassessment for my 2019 went up, the assessment of 41.9. I didn't even pay that much for that vehicle when we bought it in 2019. And it's, you might as well say, going on 4 years old, because the new vehicles will be out in the fall of the year, the 2023s. This is just astronomical, and you think about so many older, aging people, retired like me, and now I'm down to one Social Security check a month because my husband passed away. And these elderly people have so much expense, thank God not me, but paying for prescription drugs and whatever else that they need. I wonder how these folks are going to be able to continue to pay tax. And I know to reassess some, I can understand, but I just thought that was an awful large amount. So if you would take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Clark?
Good afternoon, Councilman. My name is Eunice B. Clark. What I'd like to speak with you about is your budget in regards to the population of the city of Covington. As you know, I think you probably know, the 2010 census said that we had lost 8.79% of our population. That's not good.
No.
So the new census that came out in 2020 said the city of Covington has now 5,717 people. So every year our population is shrinking. And if you continue to raise taxes, whether it be personal property or the real estate next year, that's going to create a real problem. You all will probably lose more people moving out. It's sad now when you go down and there's no stores on Main Street. You know, we need jobs here. We need different venues that people can attend or go to or shop at. And so that is one of my main concerns, and that's one reason that I'm here tonight, is to remind you of that. Like Wanda, just with my personal property and my house tax, it was for the year, not just this first half, but for the year, it's going to be $2,800. My neighbor on the street with me said that theirs had jumped to $3,300 for the year. Now that's not even counting the new reassessment, and it's my understanding from what the commissioner says, it could be 30 to 40%. Your public, your taxpayers, the ones that come to you to guide us and help us, cannot afford that, gentlemen. And I certainly hope that you will take a look at that budget and see what you can cut and what you can reduce down. For instance, with the personal property. That happened back in 1974. Oh yeah, I was here then. President Carter was in office. We had the same issue with gas tax. We had the same issue with cars continually going up. And at the time, we had a wonderful commissioner of revenue, a truly Southern lady, Marie Carter Vibe. Her father was the commissioner of revenue for Allegheny County, and her sister then became the commissioner over there after her father retired. Well, when the car tax went up, and back then, we weren't so fortunate to have computers, we had to look those up in the Blue Book. And there's 3 columns in the Blue Book, or the Red Book, whichever one you want to use. You know, they have the bar amount, the average retail, and there's another one that won't come to mind. But anyway, with that personal property, it went up. And Mrs. Fye said, you know, I know people are going to have an issue with it. They're going to be very upset about it. And I said, well, Ms. Fye, I think the thing to do would be to freeze the value. By that I mean, it's not going to depreciate each year like it has in the past, but it's going to stay the same. You're not going to get a windfall tax like you're getting this year from personal property. And I think a lot of people want to know what you were going to do with that windfall. I was very pleased to hear the city manager got that $1.7 million from the federal government to put on our sewer plant. That's wonderful. Thank you, Congress, for sending money to localities to get these projects going. And if I heard her right, which I think I did, she said that leaves around $6 million, of which you have 25 years to pay back. Was that correct, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And with that, I love the interest rate. I cannot tell you the number of bonds I did when I was in office for 31 years. We never had one with 0 interest rate. Never. So therefore, that tells me you're not going to have to do so much money on it. But if you keep raising everything, and you're going to lose more population, and you're really going to be hurting. So therefore, I would really like for you all to revisit your budget, see if you can adjust it. Look, our governor did. Our governor just passed his last week. So it doesn't mean you have to have it on the 31st of June. So I hope that you all will take a look at that. Have some sympathy, some empathy for your elderly neighbors, for the ones who are sick, for the ones who have lost a spouse. I think it's a very important issue for you all to go back and revisit. And I would appreciate you doing that. And I would like to ask to be put on the budget to speak again next Tuesday, a week from today. I would appreciate that. And so I thank you very much for taking the time to hear my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I have a concern about Casey Field, our sports complex. It has always been an award-winning feature of our city. And at one point, it was a national award winner. It has been brought to our attention that due to the consolidation of Covington City Schools and Allegheny County Public Schools, that the maintenance of Casey Field will be done by the Allegheny Highlands
No, ma'am.
school system.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
That's
The
not
city is
true.
retaining full ownership, and it will be used by the school system.
Okay, who will be in charge of maintaining?
Al,
Parks and Recreation Director and Parks and Recreation.
that's just like it is.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
That's
We
exactly.
had been misinformed.
Well, there was some talking earlier that that was the way it would be. but we have done an agreement that we'll maintain ownership and we'll maintain the field, and they will lease the use of it for a little bit, maybe $1 or something. That's how it will be.
And another
Just
thing,
like it's been.
to point out, we've been working as the schools committee, with studying how we can improve the locker rooms, the restrooms at that facility, and even the field conditions. Because with the new school system, it will be larger and we'll be playing a larger division. So I actually am meeting with Miss Melinda Sneed Johnson and Kimberly Holterman with the Allegheny County School Superintendent tomorrow to start discussing how do we make sure we have adequate locker rooms for our children in the new school system. Because what's there right now, quite frankly, is, even though it meets the need for the number of students, it's not adequate. And we've been working with the Allegheny Foundation on funding with that, and the state actually passed a very large school construction bill just recently. I think it's $63 million to assist localities with making improvements to school system needs. So we're looking at how do we use or apply for those funds to go forward with that. So it will stay as city property, and Mr. Dressler will continue maintaining the field and those facilities.
Thank you, that answers my question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know it's difficult this time of year for you all to find money, so I have a question for you. As you know, the citizens travel these roads every day. Senior citizens, teenagers just getting their permits. I see them coming up and down the street driving. And so my question to you folks is, there's so many 18-wheelers traveling day and night, all hours of the night. Now, I'm not referring to trucks that are carrying in raw materials to our local industry. We need that. They need that. However, they have Pacific roads to travel. One way in, one way around, one way out, right? Okay, so my question to you is what, and I just heard a little bit of it last week when she was referring to some of the road work. My neighbors are having a hissy fit over how bad their roads are. And I would like to know what you all would do to repair the curbing along the sidewalks. I wondered, had you all considered doing a road tax for multiple use on commercial trucks? Now, you know, you go to Richmond, different places, they have toll roads. I feel like they're the ones that are tearing up the roads. It's not your senior citizens or your young folks. They just have little cars. They don't have any monster trucks or anything of that nature. I'm sure you realize that. So that's something that I'm interested in. If there's something that you all can do. I don't have to tell you, before I retired, the folks over on Rayon Drive, their roads were all in pieces. I had friends, family, and neighbors that I had lived beside calling me. They said, they're tearing up the roads, they're coming here all night long, and really, let's be honest, the only reason they quit going that way, they couldn't get across the bridge at Hercules. And I thought that was going to be a project that was supposed to be redone or rebuilt. I was thinking that you all were going to leave that in place and go around it one way or the other over there. I don't know what the plans are, but we as citizens are very interested in what's going on in our town. We want to see where our money's going. We want to be part of it. We would appreciate you letting us know. So I don't know, but like I said, there's one way that you can make money is put up a tax on 18-wheelers that use the roads constantly. My husband and I, myself, were going down to breakfast one morning, and we were going down to Hardee's, and here comes one of the big 18-wheelers, and go whoosh, and they just did make the corner. They crushed your curbing there at Hardee's and went up on the sidewalk. Now, if that happens more than once in a week or what, y'all will have a lot of repairs to do. And so why would you expect senior citizens, retired people, people that have lost a job, or some folks are working 2 jobs. When I first started as a young person, I worked 2 jobs for 5 years, a full-time one here and a part-time one. And that's not fair to expect these folks not to have any time with family. I'm sure you all understand that. So I hope that would be something else that you would look at in your budget.
Have you looked at the budget?
I have not had a chance to see it. I understand that if I want to see it, that I need to come to City Hall, I have to make an appointment, I cannot go upstairs, I have to get somebody to call, and then come down with some kind of fob. That's another question.
We don't need to get into all that, because none of that's really true, but.
Oh, so the elevator is unlocked
No,
now?
the elevator's not unlocked.
So how do we get upstairs?
You have to make an appointment with somebody and they'll let you up.
Okay, so then that means we have to sit down here until whoever's unbusy from upstairs in that office here or there to come down and let us
If
in?
you've got an appointment, they should be ready to take you when you get here.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting. I'll do some checking on that, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I
Oh,
will.
and what else I wanted to mention was that the asphalt in the budget this year is $750,000, which is about 3 times what it's been since I've been on council. So there is an attempt to try to pave the roads.
Well,
And
and
there's a
I
lot
have-
going on.
Well, I hope so, and like I said, I'm sure Mr. Tucker in our neighborhood has heard it, because some of my neighbors told me that they spoke to him in regards to the potholes and stuff we have up there, when they've been up there working on water and gas lines, and they just threw some gravels on it.
Yeah.
You know, and we get stuck with some pretty high taxes up
agree.
there, so we expect to have some service as well.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
absolutely right.
Fred Forbes, 419 South End Drive. I was just wondering, are y'all looking at any kind of recourse on fixing Allegheny Avenue correctly? Since it was just recently paved and where they've been working on the, I guess, gas lines, it's really rough. There's a big steel plate out there that is done slid right up against the curb, and it's
You may have missed the last meeting when she talked about this. This came up about, were you
I was
here?
here, yeah, I was here.
Yes.
And we started.
Y'all was looking at something
agreement.
about.
So we officially have we started with a baby step. So we reached out to Dominion and made some amendments to so you have every private utility company that you deal with, like Dominion, Lumos, Shentel, Columbia Gas, when they do work in a locality, they enter into what is a franchise agreement, which is kind of a blanket permit, if you will, that says, when they do work, this is what they do, right? And it precedes all of us, but a lot of those, the language is very loose. It doesn't have, teeth in it to say this is what, you've got to make it to, Department of Transportation standards, or, the sidewalk has to be to Department of Transportation standards. So we've gotten Dominion to agree to providing advance notice of work, having quarterly meetings, and doing any restoration work for sidewalks or pavement to VDOT standards. The next effort is doing that with Columbia Gas, but we're also monitoring the work. And typically when gas companies do that much work, they generally wait until they are done with the whole area, which makes it suck incredibly for a prolonged period of time, for your ride. But they will then repave the entire road surface. We're working to push that and stay on top of them and making sure it meets VDOT standards. I am very aware, and I am not a fan of steel plates. I'm sorry, my public works director is not here this evening. He's at training, but he will tell you that I have called him several times, like, what is this steel plate doing? Because if they're not doing work right there at that very moment, or they don't plan to be back there the next day, steel plates are not a best practice. They are a temporary seal, and you're supposed to compact and then put the plate down. And I don't know that they're actually doing that. So we are aware, and we are staying on top of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Newspaper. So I had a question in regards to the Nettleton property. What a shame, that was such a beautiful business, and I hate to see it being torn down, but it was really in bad shape. So the question they was wanting to ask was, what is the city planning on doing with the property? Do you think that you'll be able to put some kind of business in there to give the citizens, Allegheny County, Clifton Forge employees a place to go to work? And also, if not, would there be anything where you could bring in stores for shopping, so they could shop for shoes or clothing, either there or on Main Street? We know that the city paid $300,000 for the Nettleton property. And it's just a sad situation to see continually go down. I know that one company that rented it or whatever made a mess of it too. I can't think of their names. I think they were out of West Virginia, some kind of hardware store. But anyway, that was the question. They wanted to know, what is the intent with the property? Will you try to put some kind of business there where people could get jobs locally in this area there? Or if not, is there some way that you can put some businesses there that are selling product to your citizens? Be shoes, clothes, purses, whatever the case may be. As a matter of fact, I knew a gentleman had to go out of town to buy suits and wedding dresses and things because he didn't have it here. Hopefully, I see on the main street a lady is getting ready to do something like that. But that's what we're interested in. And I'm sure you're interested in what your taxpayers and your voters are interested in, right? So anyway, I would like to speak again next week. So I'm asking Mrs. Crozier to be sure and put me there so I'll know for sure if I can or not before I leave tonight.
What do you want to speak about next week?
Well, I don't know yet, but I'll be back. You guys see me a lot of times, not just in the neighborhood.
Okay.